Hi there, and welcome to episode 179 of the WaveBack Music Podcast. My name is Chris.
And I'm Matt.
And we're here to listen to the most interesting video game music there is. Happy Halloween, everyone! We are back with the 10th iteration of the WaveBack Spooky Special. We've got another all-new track list of ghoulishly gory music to keep you in the holiday spirit. Keep your flashlight lit and your eyes on the shadows, for tonight we bring you the 10th annual Spooky Special. Well, hi there, Matt.
Hi, Chris.
10 years.
That's a long time for anything.
I've been doing this podcast for more than 10 years, which amusingly enough, I'm getting the track list together for this, right? I'm having a good time getting the track list together. Like, Spooky Special 10 years. Wait a second. That means I've been doing Stone Age Game. I missed the 10th anniversary of Stone Age Gamer.
Damn.
10th anniversary SAG podcast was back in April, and we did absolutely nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so Dan and I are just going to celebrate the 11th anniversary instead. Oh, good times. So let's see. When did this one start? That's what I should have checked. When did WaveBack start? Because I mean, it was about 10 years ago. I can't remember what month, but I'm pretty sure I did a spooky special on our first year. At least that's what makes the most sense to me. Episode 1 was... Oh, it still says 9 years ago. Well, that doesn't make sense. When was April 2015? Did I miscount spooky specials? Oh, boy.
Math ain't mathin' here, Chris.
Math ain't mathin'. Let's see. Well, we're gonna nip this right in the bud. Spooky. I'm just gonna search the word spooky. There's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But whoa. Well, no, that doesn't make any sense. So if this was Spooky Special 1, when did this happen? October 2015 was Spooky Special 1. So how is this 10? Matt, I'm real confused right now. I didn't do 2 in 1 year. That doesn't make any sense.
Let's see.
Special 1.
Special 2, 3. So for everyone listening at home to this wonderful, riveting piece of audio drama, we're both looking at a spreadsheet because we're those guys. Because, our lives are just chock full of excitement. And
16.
Yeah, there's that. And we're trying to figure this out now. I've apparently been roped into this. Let's see. I feel like I should commentate funny stuff, but I'm not that funny. I got 4, 5. Let's see. 6. Winter special, which we discovered we haven't done in a while. 7.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the
8.
I'm looking at the Pinecast listing right here. I have them
8.
all here.
9.
I'm just trying to figure out when did they happen.
So 9 was 2023. And then 8 is when you started dating them. So 8 is 2022. I mean, the numbers make sense.
Right, if we're in 2015 was the first one. So 2025 should be the 10th one, right?
It's not like when you calculate your hours for work. If I go to sleep now, I'll get 8 hours of sleep. So let's see. Wait. 2015, right? You said that was the first one? I'm sorry.
The first episode, according to Pinecast, was April 13th, 2015. So if the first spooky special was October 2015.
That tracks. So you know how, like, if you say to yourself, if I go to sleep at midnight, in order for me to get 8 hours of sleep.
Oh, I'm dead. Oh shit! Does that mean that does that mean we missed the SAG 10th anniversary by A year? No.
This gets even better. Oh my God.
Man, my brain doesn't work. And that's the scariest thing of all.
Happy Halloween.
Happy
Remember how you
Halloween.
said just before we hit record, I promise not to fall apart?
Oh, my word is worth nothing. So anyway, look, this is the 10th spooky special. I have no idea how long I've been doing this show. Doesn't matter. It don't matter.
It
None of
makes
this
sense.
matters.
2015 was 1, 16
Yeah,
was 2, 17 3, 18 4, 19 5, 26, 21 7, 22 8, 23 9,
Right.
24 10.
Right. Okay. Because when counting years, like if this show started in 2015, that's year 0. We hadn't hit year 1 yet, but we did episode 1 during year 0. So I'm not wrong about the SAG podcast. I just forgot how time works. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am okay. I'm a little under the weather, which sucks because I was just sick like 2 weeks ago. And it always happens to me around when the weather changes. And it's been a bit colder out here, which has been lovely. I love fall weather. I just love it. But we got our Halloween decorations up yesterday. A neighbor of ours gave us a bunch of her inflatables and things like that. So we got a few extra doodads sitting around in front of the house. It's going okay. Things are going okay. I mean, except for the Phillies that just boffed. They just knocked themselves out of the playoffs by losing to the Mets. So that's fun.
So as a New Yorker, suck it. When I was a kid, I was a Mets fan. Then I realized I was from the Bronx and that didn't make any sense. So I became a Yankees fan. But now as an adult, I'm a New York fan. So I take any New York victory I can get.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Look, I mean, I am not militant about baseball. Phillies is just kind of a family/local thing. And I do love a good underdog story. And it's kind of hard not to root for the Mets a little bit because, I mean, look, the Phillies are really good at losing baseball games. But I don't know a lot about baseball. I feel that the Mets are even better at losing baseball games.
Oh, my friend. Yes. You don't know catastrophic collapse until you've watched a Mets season. So
what's fascinating me, and I know this has nothing to do with Halloween, but it does kind of have something to do with costumes. I'm watching the game yesterday, and there's a bunch of people in the stands dressed up as the Grimace. Like full-on McDonald's The Grimace costumes. I'm like, okay, I have what's going on here. So I talked to my friend who is a legitimate sports fan, and he said that apparently for the Grimace's birthday, he threw out the first pitch, the Grimace. Mm-hmm. And ever since that day, the Mets have been crushing it. So now the Grimace has become the Mets' good luck charm.
I don't know if you remember, I don't know how deep you are with football. I know your wife's a diehard Steelers fan. Do you remember some years ago, they did a commercial for Bud Light and it had Superstitious by Stevie Wonder. And like all these people doing these weird things at like the stadium. And then, the kicker kicks the field goal, the team wins. And then the tagline is, it's only stupid if it doesn't work.
Yes, I remember that.
That's the Grimace thing.
That's the Grimace thing.
It's that thing where like you wear the shirt once and you win and you're like, it must be the shirt. You don't wash it all season. Mm-hmm. Then you have to sleep in the doghouse. Or so they tell me.
Or so they say. Anyway, we should get back.
Halloween. Yeah,
we should get back to business.
So far off. Yes. We're so far off track. I feel like we should start over.
Well,
but we're not going to.
We're not going to because we've got things to do, like listening to spooky music.
Yes.
This was pretty fun to put together. This is an interesting playlist. I've got a couple of listener requests on here, but most of this I came up with myself. And I was a lot of times I'll somewhat struggle to come across some good tunes, and this one actually came to me pretty quickly. In fact, I had to drop a song or two. We've got 11 tracks to go through tonight. And
Wow.
some of this is stuff that's pretty recent, so some fairly recent games. So I'm very excited to get into business here.
It's business time, baby.
Let's do it. So our first track comes from just one of my favorite games I've played this year is Gimmick 2. We covered the original Gimmick pretty recently on this show, I think. And the fact that they made a sequel was super terrifying to me. But the fact that it came out so good makes me so happy. Like, I really, really like this game. And of course, the soundtrack was done by David Wise, which is great. It's a very different soundtrack from the first game, but it's a very David Wise soundtrack, and it really fit the vibe of this sequel. And the track we're going to listen to is called Munto Boss, and it's boss music / it tends to be, can be on the scary side, and I think this one really fits the vibe of what we're going for here on the Spooky Special. This is for the final boss, who is this like dark wizard looking thing. So it's very kind of eerie and dark and purple cloak and all that business. And I thought it fit really well. This is a great tune, and I think it's a good way to get us started off. Here is Munto Boss from Gimmick 2 by David Wise. Enjoy. Well, there you have Munto Boss. That is one version of the final boss theme from this game, which I think is just wonderfully unhinged sounding. It's really got that good spooky vibes that the violin or fiddle or whatever that main music was. But there is actually a more intense version of this that I didn't play because I haven't listened to it yet. In order to get to the final form of the final boss, you have to find all of the hidden stickers in the game. And I have not done that yet because it is very, very freaking hard. But just like the original, you can't get the proper ending without doing all the secret stuff. So I'm still working on that. But I heard like a little bit of it when I was putting together this soundtrack, and I was like, nope, stop, don't do that to yourself. This one is perfectly eerie enough, and it'll have to do. And I think it's such a great song. I mean, obviously, I don't think I've heard very many David Wise songs that I haven't enjoyed, but I really like this song. I think it's wonderfully well done. It builds very well. It's got just the right weight to it for a final boss battle without being like over the top, like fast and heavy. I just think it's a masterful spooky song.
Oh, I 100% agree. First, I want to say maybe Spooky Special 11, you'll have that ready for us.
I certainly hope so, because I'm still chipping away at it. I'm between that and Zelda right now. I'm actually working on a couple of games that I really just I don't want to lose track of any of them, but Zelda kind of took priority. But chipping away at Gimmick 2 has been great, and I also started Euphoria 2, which is also really good and kind of brainless, so that's really helping me out in the background vibes department. So and I don't think there's anything else coming out this year that's going to take priority over either of those games, at least not that I know of, unless Nintendo drops a Nintendo Direct that's about something other than a strange alarm clock. I don't know if you picked up on that news today, but Nintendo's really selling a $100 alarm clock that I really want, but not for $100. So anyways, yes, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is fantastic, but the Gimmick 2, which is the primary focus here, very little of the music is what I would consider Spooky Special worthy, but it is a wonderful, wonderful soundtrack. It's very kind of environmental sounding overall. So when you get to things that are a bit more very focused melodic, like this one, where it's like this is very in your face music instead of background music, it's quite lovely. I think you did a great job.
Yeah, I love that violin. I think it's fantastic. It reminds me of, Transylvanian, what do you call it? Gypsy violinist who's like, no, don't go over there, and um, brilliant piece of music. Dave Wise, no slouch, no question. Love it. Knocks it out of the park with this one. Just fantastic.
Excellent. And we're off. We're off and running.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so our next song is another game that I played, I want to say last year. Time has no meaning. I think
it's irrelevant.
I think this was last year. This is the tragically overlooked Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp. Though this had such unfortunate timing when it released. It was supposed to launch right when the Ukraine Russia conflict war happened, and then it got delayed to try to find a good time to release it, which I don't think they did, which is a shame because this game is really, 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 really good. It's basically a remake of the first two Advance Wars games by WayForward, so it looks and sounds incredible. I have not played the second campaign yet. I was holding off on that until another time, but I beat the first campaign. And the first game, there comes a point where you have to face off against a spooky clone, like a dark clone version of your character, which I don't think they ever really explain how that exists, but it doesn't matter. So this is really cool. This is Clone Andy's theme. And this plays basically when you're battling against this clone version of your Andy character, who's like this really I don't want to say multiplicity clone, but he's like, he's almost Bizarro, like Superman Bizarro. Like he's just kind of falling apart kind of and bending weird, and his face gets all blue, and it's just weird. But this is a really cool song because it's a dark version of Andy's theme. So from Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, oh goodness, I almost forgot to say who this was by. So the Reboot Camp soundtrack is credited to Maddie Lim, Michaela Noctingal, I think is how you say that, and Tommy Pedrini. So I don't know who specifically wrote this one or if it was all a big collaboration, but that's who the soundtrack is credited to. This is Clone Andy's theme. Enjoy. And that was Clone Andy's theme from Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. I have to assume you have not played this game, right?
No, this has always been on my list. I've always heard really great things about Advance Wars 1 and 2 because I'm a big fan of tactical games, tactical RPGs. One of my all-time favorite games is Ogre Battle and games that play sort of similar Final Fantasy Tactics, Suikoden Tactics, etc., etc. Anything with tactics at the ends of the name, I have it on the list somewhere that I want to play, but I've heard really, really great things about Advance Wars 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're pretty. There was also a huge blind spot for me. I had tried the original one on Game Boy Advance briefly, and I made it about 15 minutes through the tutorial and said, this is going to require me to really sit down and learn this game, and I don't have that kind of time right now. And then I just never got around to it. But I made myself sit down and play the first one on Switch, and holy crap, it sunk its teeth into me hardcore. It's got great music overall. It's just a really, really fun and well done game. And this music in particular, so Andy's theme is basically this, but with major chords. And, slightly less like Rob Zombie, I guess. You know, like, I think about all those like machine sounds and things going on in the background for some reason that just says Rob Zombie to me. But this is basically just the dark evil version of Andy's theme, and I think it's a really, really clever tune. I think it all comes through with a really nice eerie energy to it, and coupled with the slightly disturbing visuals of this weird clone Andy, I think it pulls off being spooky rather nicely.
So I was gonna pretend to be indignant and say something like, I feel attacked personally because this has all like the earmarks of stuff I listen to, KMFDM, all the offshoots, MDFMK, Tim Scold, Ogre, etc., etc. So naturally, I love it. It's
right,
great
it's
though.
great. It's a great tune.
No, it's great. It's got a nice heavy kick, the distorted guitars, of course, and then like a really interesting kind of synthesized lead and stuff. It's good. It's really good. And then to imagine that it accompanies a game like Advance Wars, um, I find really interesting and really, really cool. I'm gonna have to it's gonna have to bump itself to the front of the line or something. I'm really gonna have to sit down and play these games.
Quite it is quite worth your time, I would say. I would definitely recommend it, especially as somebody who likes strategy games. I've never really been able to get into them myself, except for this one. The Advance Wars was the first one that really clicked with me, and I've tried a few in the past. I can't say I've spent much time with Ogre Battle. I'm familiar with Ogre Battle because my friend Sean is really into Ogre Battle. But other than that, I think I tried Shining Force 3 on Saturn. And again, like it all seemed like I never stopped feeling like I had no idea what was going on. And that feeling didn't go away through most of Advance Wars. By the end of it, I kind of had a better grasp on it. I am by nature very bad at this kind of game. It does not click with the way I think very well, and I really had to kind of watch strategies online of like, what am I doing wrong? Because I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. So I'd watch some like people do playthroughs online, being like, why are they doing that? And then try to piece it together, and then it finally started clicking with me, like, oh, so I'm not a strategy guy. I'm a reactive guy when it comes to these kinds of things. Like when I play Street Fighter, I'm Blanca and Guile, right? I'm charge characters because I'm very reactive. I like to be on defense and then attack when I think it's safe. And that's doesn't really work too well with many different characters in Advance Wars because of all the Well, it's because of all the strategy, but
yeah, it's those are those games where you have to sit there and you have to figure out like um who does well with who, like how do they complement each other, where can you get the most bang for your buck, defense, things like that. And I get that. It's not necessarily for everybody. I happen to really enjoy that sort of stuff. And like I said, I really enjoy this song too. It's really good. Um hell yeah, you can keep it coming.
will do. Well, this next one actually does not come from me. This is our first listener request.
Woo!
This comes by way of our good friend, Mr. Matt Flanger.
Yeah.
He recommended a song from a game that I have not played through, and I really need to. It is from The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, which I have started like 3 or 4 times and never finished. And when it came out on Nintendo Switch Online, I said to myself, well, this is it. Now I'm going to do it. But there were too many other games at the time for me to actually just drop everything and get to Minish Cap. But so this is an interesting track. I have not heard all of it yet. Just as I was getting the song, I had heard a little bit of it. This is Dark Hyrule Castle. It is by Mitsuhiko Takano. And this appears to be like similar to what we just listened to with Clone Andy's theme. This seems like a dark version of the Hyrule Castle theme from A Link to the Past. So I'm kind of excited to listen to this one. So without further ado, here is Dark Hyrule Castle from The Legend of Zelda: Minish Cap. And that was Dark Hyrule Castle from The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. And how did that one grab you?
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
that is
me too.
Such a great piece of music.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. I really liked the it is exactly what I expected it to be. It was a dark version of that Hyrule Castle theme from A Link to the Past. And I think the pipe organ in the background just really tied it together. It's good. It's good. Thumbs up.
I like the I like the sparse snare rolls.
Yes, that was really nice effect too. Kind of gave it that extra eerie feel.
Like as though as a listener you're looking for the drum pattern and you're like, oh, there it goes, and then it stops and you're like, here it comes. No, okay, here it. Wait, no. I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too. That was extremely well done. So thank you, Matt, for not you, Matt. I mean, thank you just for being you, but thank you, Matt, other Matt, for suggesting that one. Moving on, this is a non-listener request, but it was a request nonetheless. This is a request from my son. I asked him if there were any spooky songs that we had heard in the last year, and he came up with this one, and I heartily agreed with him straight away. Couldn't believe I didn't think of it myself. This comes from the Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which was a just fantastic game that I thoroughly enjoyed last year. This is the Pumpkin Party song. This was one of the Wonder effects, so as you play Super Mario Brothers Wonder, you get these Wonder Seeds that make weird stuff happen in the stages. And the Wonder effect that plays in this one stage is called Pumpkin Party. And just makes a bunch of... everything goes weird. There's giant pumpkins bouncing up and down. And you're supposed to bounce off of the pumpkins that are bouncing up and down. It is a very, very fun and very cool stage. The Super Mario Brothers Wonder soundtrack is credited to Shiho Fuji, Sayako Doi, and Chisaki Shimazu. Again, blanket apologies. You know this by this point. Blanket apologies to everyone on Earth for everything ever. So yeah, this is a Pumpkin Party from Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Please enjoy. There you go. Short and sweet. That was Pumpkin Party from Super Mario Brothers Wonder. How'd that one grab you?
First of all, John coming in the clutch. Nicely done.
Well done. Good pick, John.
First and foremost, it reminds me of like that new updated version of the Spooky Scary Skeletons.
It does kind of remind me of that, yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing necessarily.
No.
That track's a lot of fun. Super high energy. It has all the instrumentation of what we would consider maybe some spooky video game music, but done in such a upbeat and positive way. So it almost kind of goes against, the nature of this very program, but it's a lot of fun. So, gets my vote.
Yeah. No, I loved this game. It brought so much joy into my life when this came out, and the music was a big part of it. It's such a wonderful, for lack of a better term, wonderful, wonderful game. And because 2D Mario is just, it means so much to me, and there hasn't been a proper original 2D Mario since, I mean, if you want to argue the first new Super Mario Brothers, but even that was a real step back in a lot of ways. It was neat, but it didn't have the imagination of like Super Mario World or the Super Mario Land 2, which was the real last 2D Mario game before friggin' Wonder. It took them forever. They were stuck in these new Super Mario Brothers games, which again, they were fine, but they didn't have that. Back in the old days, a new Mario game would always come with some wacky new art direction, and it would be super interesting and weird and fun and creative. And the new Super Mario Brothers games were almost that, but they were super safe. Wonder was bug nuts, and I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Moving on. This next one comes to us from a relatively recent game that I played for the first time last year. Or was it this year? Again, time has no meaning. Shovel Knight Dig, which is a very, very neat game, which is just not for me. I wanted it to be for me. I really did. But I don't really like... what is the term for this? It's not...
Fun?
It's not roguelike. It's because all right, so what it is you dig into this tunnel and you play a level and then you get as deep as you can and then you wind up back outside of the tunnel and then you dig again and you just keep doing that over and over again and trying to see if you can get farther each time. But it makes you, every time you go in, you play the same levels again. So you have to like play through the same levels over and over again. Now they're randomly generated, but it's still the same like song and the same theme, and you have to fight the same bosses. And I'd rather just play the game level by level. Like I don't like the whole like going on different runs and see how far I can get. I don't love that kind of gameplay. So I really,
Right.
as much as the visuals are great, the music is great, and the actual gameplay itself is quite solid, but I just fell off of it so quickly because I don't like this format of video games. But the music, like I said, is great. This is from the Magic Landfill, which I've never gotten to, but I've listened to the soundtrack a bunch of times, and this song struck me as the kind of thing that would be perfect for this episode. The song is called One Person's Trash. It is by Jake Kaufman, and it is excellent because it's from Shovel Knight, and Shovel Knight rules. So please enjoy from Shovel Knight Dig, One Person's Trash. That was One Person's Trash from Shovel Knight Dig. Matt, Tell me how much you loved that. Because I refuse to believe that you didn't. Because it is really good.
So I very much enjoyed it. I love just that kind of chaotic energy, a very organized chaotic energy, I suppose it is. Um, really great lead melodies and synths. I that's awesome. I really like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the drumming tempo and pacing of it. Uh, i- Organized chaos, but in the best possible way. Really good.
Yeah, so Jake Kaufman did such an outstanding job on the original Shovel Knight. Just really, really, really top tier soundtrack. And this, so Shovel Knight Dig was made by Nitrome, and it has a more 16-bit look to it. So it's like he's playing in the sort of like an augmented version of the Sega Genesis sound font, and it is just, it's just outstanding. I love this soundtrack to death. I wish I loved this game as much as I loved its music. Because and its visuals, it looks really good too. I love everything about this game except the damn game. But yeah, this song is, especially like towards the end of its loop, where it just gets completely nuts, is such a cool tune. It's I just love it to death.
I can't disagree with you. I mean, I think that the exactly what you said, that sort of looping ending part. I wish Shovel Knight is one of those games that everyone loves, and I've just never touched it. And then to think that there's like an extension of it, that I'll never get to, is both sad and aspiring, I suppose. I don't know, but I mean, if the soundtrack's half as good as that song, it's got to be a really great soundtrack.
Oh yeah, it's when we were still doing WaveBack Awards, this was definitely something I was nominating for best original soundtrack. Actually, it might have been Calmat a year that we still did the WaveBack Awards. I can't remember. Either way, really, really, really good soundtrack, top to bottom. Highly recommend listening to it. But speaking of really great soundtracks that I highly recommend listening to, let's move on to an old classic that I adore. This is actually one of the original indie darlings. This comes to us from Cave Story. In fact, more specifically, this version is from Cave Story Plus, where the soundtrack had been rejiggered quite a bit. This was done by, at least credited to Daisuke Amaya, Jan van der Korissen, and Nicholas Nygren, I think is how you say that. Again, big ol' apologies. Daisuke Amaya is the one who wrote the songs originally, I believe. He's the one who just single-handedly did all of Cave Story top to bottom, and the other names were involved in this plus version of the remake. So Cave Story, if you've not played it, is a really, really good action adventure game with a kind of an eerie story, a really interesting world that it takes place in, and really good game mechanics with lots of secrets and different ways you can play through it that'll give you different endings and different weapons. And it's just such a great game. I love it. Love it. I just replayed it again last year for the first time in a while, and it absolutely holds up. This song is less energetic and more just plain eerie. This comes to us from, this song is called Cemetery. It takes place in a cemetery that you come across earlier on in the game. That's really just the area itself, at least to me, has always been really unnerving, and this music really just kind of bundles up that unnerving energy quite well. So here is Cemetery from Cave Story Plus. Enjoy. There you go. That's Cemetery from Cave Story Plus, a very unsettling but pretty song. It's very cemetery music. I think it does its job extremely well. And it's such an interesting piece of music because it's used in just this one area in the game that you never really you never even need to spend as much time in this one area in the game as this song takes to loop. So unless you just stay there, you're never going to hear this whole thing. And staying there, because it's... Have you played Cave Story before?
I don't think I've even heard of it.
Oh my goodness, it's such a good game. So you start off the game and in this like village that's this town full of these adorable rabbit people that are apparently being killed by the dozens. And you go to this cemetery where a lot of them are buried, and it's just like, it's weirdly unsettling because it's like these super cute rabbit people that are just dead, lots of dead rabbits in this cemetery, and there's these like cute mushroom things bouncing around, but they will kill the crap out of you. They will murder you dead. So you kill those and you go, read a specific grave, and it is a wonderful game. I can't recommend it enough. It's relatively inexpensive. I think the original version is still free on online. Playing on PC, the original release was always meant to be freeware, and the version Cave Story Plus that's on home consoles is I think it's only a couple of bucks, and it's so well worth playing through. It's one of the earliest examples of a game that really broke through that was all just done by one dude. This was back when that was like a newsworthy thing, like one guy made this entire game. And like now that happens a lot in the indie scene, but Cave Story was a real pioneer in that department, and it's a wonderful game. And I think this music is really good Halloween sounding stuff.
Yeah, the first thing that really sticks out to me, and probably the most prominent thing that sticks out to me, is the call and response. And I think, putting myself in the place of someone that's inside of a cemetery in the middle of the night, I would hate to be singing to myself or saying something to myself and then suddenly have it repeated back 20 feet away. So, yeah, that's pretty freaky, right? That's pretty spooky. Um, and I like it. And then I think it runs on long enough to the part where it starts to get unsettling. And for a while, I'm sitting there going, "Wow, this is kind of going on for." And then all of a sudden, it sweeps together and becomes this beautiful piece of music, and that really kind of knocked my socks off, to say the least. So very well done piece of music.
Yeah. Again, can't stress enough. And the original version of this is also quite good as well. I went with the Plus version because that's the first place I played the game. It was released on WiiWare. It was its first console release, and that's the version of the song I heard. Actually, sort of, which is really interesting. So part of the way my perception of Cave Story has been colored is because when it originally released on Wii, when they put it on WiiWare, something went wrong with its music, and a bunch of pieces of the music were missing. But of course, I didn't know that. So it just seemed... I just thought that's the way the music was. And because like the drum tracks and certain other pieces were missing, the music had this really kind of odd sense of melancholy to it, like the whole soundtrack. And I finished the whole game before they patched it. And when I went back and played it again, I was like, oh, this is what the music's supposed to sound like. That's even better. But the whole general feeling of Cave Story is kind of different for me because of the way that was originally released. I think we covered Cave Story on the show before you were on it. I want to say that we did. Oh, geez, all the way back in episode 33. Yeah, me and Vicky covered Cave Story on 33, and I want to say we covered Cave Story Plus. Oh no, we covered the classic score from the original PC release. Okay. So we're about due to cover Cave Story Plus sometime.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, because I love the soundtrack. I love Cave Story so much. Geez, when was this? This was back in November 2016. Back in episode 33. The good old days. Anyways, so yeah, Cave Story, great stuff. That was Cemetery. And now it's time to move on to something completely different. This is, I guess, not completely different. It is another indie game. This comes from one of my favorite releases of this past year is called RZ, The Jewel of Faramore. Are you familiar with this game at all?
That is a big no.
Okay, so this game is amazing because this game poses the question, what if the CDI Zelda games were good?
Okay.
And the answer is they would be good. So this is done unfathomably accurately to the style of Zelda Wand of Gamelon and Link the Faces of Evil. It's done like the animation style for the cutscenes is completely unhinged and it looks almost identical. They got some of the voice actors from the original game to recite a handful of lines throughout the course of this adventure. And the gameplay is, I remember seeing the video for Link the Faces of Evil when I was a kid and thinking, I can't wait. I have to get my hands on that. And the gameplay in RZ is what I always imagined Faces of Evil would be. Not what it actually was, which is not very good at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Link Faces of Evil is terrible. RZ is
Yeah.
actually a really fun game. I think I reviewed it for Nintendo Force. I think I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. And that's only because of its adherence to the CDI Zelda format. There were a couple of like just inherent limitations. So they don't necessarily, it's hard to count it against it because it's being faithful to what it is supposed to be. It's exactly the game that it's intending to be. And if that is exciting to you, then add another couple of points to the review score. But like for a general person that doesn't have any nostalgia for the CDI, I think it's about a 7.5 out of 10 of a game with a lot of potential for future sequels, I think. It's a great game. I wound up choosing a song from it called Norin Swamp. It comes from a swampish area, and, dank swamps kind of fit in the whole Halloweenish vibe, I think. And I think this song does a good job of fitting that motif. Now, again, every piece of this pays so much homage to the games that inspired it, and that includes this very 90s MIDI sounding CD quality sound song.
Man.
This sounds like a song that would have come out of your PC in like 1994. And I mean that in the best way possible. So here's Norin Swamp from RZ, The Jewel of Faramore. I believe this was done by Jake Silverman. I'm pretty sure is who this soundtrack is accredited to. So that's our second Jake of the evening. We have Jake Kaufman and now Jake Silverman. Anyway, here's Norin Swamp. Enjoy. That was Norrin Swamp from Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore. How'd you feel about that one?
I love that fluty kind of synthy. You're absolutely right. This is right up there with the greats, Willie Beamish and oh Lord, I just forgot all the point and click games I used to play as a kid.
King's Quest.
Full Throttle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. King's Quest. Wow. Anyway, beautiful. It's a really beautiful piece of music, even in spite of its self, which is to say, using that sound card, whatever you want to call it. What you using that template, that palette? That's the word. Using that palette from that time period. It was a really great piece of music.
Yeah, and the whole soundtrack is kind of like that. It's not 100% like this definitely sounds like a CD MIDI quality thing, but it's because the whole game of RZ is like this, where it's so remarkably accurate with just enough hints of modernness to it that it doesn't feel antiquated. And the same thing could be said of its soundtrack. It was a really wonderful game to play through. I was so happy that it exists because I've always been utterly fascinated with those CDI Zelda games ever since I was a kid, and that somebody took the time. This is the same guy who made this game. It's the same guy who did that. Basically remastered the Link Faces of Evil, so it plays better, and it just took it like 900 steps further and just made a whole new game and a whole new world with all new characters that are just as bizarre as those ones that were on the CDI games. I really recommend playing through this game. It's pretty wild.
I will keep my eyes out for it.
Moving on, our next one comes from another game that came out this year and one that we had a lot of fun with in this house. It is Princess Peach Showtime. This is the latest Princess Peach exclusive game, first one since Super Princess Peach on Nintendo DS, and I rather enjoyed this game. It's very easy, which is as far as I'm concerned a selling point, because this is a game for people who don't play games or really know how to play games. And there was naturally a spooky level in it. This is the Ghostly Castle. It's some your typical Mario style spooky music, and I think it's very well done. As did I think this whole game was very well done. My daughter really enjoyed playing through this game, and so did John. My son John. He also had a good time with it. My review of this game was really one of the most fun things I had done, because I knew reviewing the game just from my perspective wasn't going to do the trick. So I actually had Ellie, my daughter, invite several of her friends over, and they all took turns playing the game, and I got all of their honest thoughts and saw what they struggled with and what they thought was easy. And it was a really fascinating way of looking at this game, because there were kids who would play the game and be like, oh, there's a castle, but it's in the background and it says go to the castle. And so they just start trying to walk through the background and getting frustrated because that doesn't work, because they don't have the video game vocabulary to know that if you keep moving to the right, the game's going to eventually take you where you're going to go. Like, it was very interesting looking at it from the perspective of somebody that does not have that I've been playing video games for 20 years vocabulary, and seeing how they piece together getting through this game. And it does a very good job of making it work. I think it was a very clever game, a very important game for people that aren't us. And it was just a joy to play. So here is The Ghostly Castle from Princess Peach Showtime. Love it. That was the Ghostly Castle from Princess Peach Showtime, and it plays to the tropes. It plays to the little jingly jinglies and the theremin in the background. But I think it pulls it off very, very nicely. I think it's a really good song.
I love a good theremin. You don't get that enough.
Theremin is a wild instrument. You ever tried to play one?
I don't even think I've seen one in person.
So when I joined the band, we talked about this on Turning Tracks. When I joined Shock-O-Lot, we originally had a theremin player. That's how I got involved in the band in the first place. And so we would she would come over to my house and we would practice together because we were the new members. And boy oh boy, she let me try it, and it was a very interesting instrument to try to use. I the highest levels of respect for people who can make that thing not sound like garbage, because it is a weird thing.
I mean, it's awesome. But anyway, this song, no, I mean, I can gush about a theremin for hours, which is weird, but that's not this show, right? Exactly what you said. It has all the right pieces, the little bells. I like the piano, the lurking violin, the plucked violin.
Yep.
Dum. It's great. It was fantastic. It's a really cute piece of music for what I can only imagine is probably a really cute game.
It is. It's a very cute game. Like, it's definitely not for us. It's for kids who don't know how to play games super well. And that's fine. Games, they should make games like that. And I think they did a really good job with this one. It was very fun. Had a really good personality and a lot of great tunes, just like this one.
There you go.
There we go. There I went right there. It's gone. It's over now. Anyways, moving on, we've got a classic. This is an oldie but a goodie. Definitely a tad on the abrasive side, but it doesn't matter because we're talking about the Springfield Discount Cemetery from the Simpsons arcade game.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the soundtrack, I believe, is credited to somebody named Zoltan Vey.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we did the credits for the soundtrack on Princess Peach Showtime. I think I forgot to do that. That soundtrack is credited to Soshiro Hokai, Yuki Minami, and Taichi Tada. But anyway, yes, the Simpsons arcade game. I don't know why this one just popped out of my head. I was trying to think of songs to cover tonight. I was like, you know what we should do? We should do a song from the Simpsons arcade game because it's got that spooky cemetery level, the Springfield Discount Cemetery. So yeah, love this game, and this is a fun song. So here it is. Enjoy. This song's so goofy. I love it.
Really is.
It's perfect. It's the perfect goofy level for this super goofy game, which really falls completely apart at the slightest scrutiny. Like when I think about even when I was younger, going, oh, there's a Simpsons arcade game. This is great. Wait a second. Wait a second. Why are we walking? Why are we playing as the Simpsons just walking around the streets beating the crap out of people?
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't make any sense, like within the context of this show. That's not what this show is. And yet it works. Holy cow, does it work? I friggin' love that game. Simpsons arcade game is great. And I can't say that a lot of its music really stuck with me. Because just when I think about the game, I just think of pure chaos. But this is, as soon as I started listening to this song, I remembered it very well. So there you go. What did you think of this one?
I mean, it's goofy like the game. It's silly, the little laughter, and but I mean, it has those horror music tropes, the wacky synthesizers,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
it's the right kind of kitsch because it's The Simpsons, and The Simpsons can get away with that. And then the arcade game itself was, moderately kitschy too, and I think it works very well for the game, but it also works really well for what we're doing.
I agree. I think it's magnificent. It's why I picked it. This next one, though, I did not pick. This is another listener request. This comes to us by way of Ferg. Thank you, Ferg. And this is a
Yep.
game I know absolutely nothing about. I have never heard of this game before. I'm completely in the dark on this one. This song is called Title Screen and Main BGM from a game called Forbidden Forest for the Commodore 64. The music, I believe, is by Paul Norman. I couldn't find a specific music writing credit for this. This appears to be a game that was mostly by this one person, so I don't know. If I'm wrong and anybody knows, please correct me. But Ferguson over a handful of Commodore 64 tracks, and this one jumped out at me that I felt seemed like it felt like it fit our motif for the episode best. So here's title screen and main BGM from Forbidden Forest for Commodore 64. Thanks, Ferg, for the suggestion. Enjoy. Oh, that was title screen and main BGM from Forbidden Forest, Commodore 64. And I think that's a really cool, eerie sounding song.
Absolutely. Despite like the sound constraints of the Commodore 64, they managed to create something that really encapsulates, a ominous, spooky, you know, uh, potentially fear-inducing. Because I can only imagine what I would have thought if I heard this for the very first time all the way back then. You know, that's really cool, and to do so much with so little is even more impressive, and I think that's why I think that's this one. That's why this one rather will hold a special place, like in my heart and in my head. It'll live in my headspace for a while as I recycle that those chords there. It's really good.
Yeah, I like the the abrasive sound of the that was coming out of the Commodore 64 here, and how they take that. Really, it starts off and you just hear that note, and it's just like it just sounds like a computer screaming at you. But as it goes on, they turn it into this really wonderfully melodic piece, and that's just one of those things that I love about retro video game music in general, is that you're taking bleeps and bloops, you're taking computer sounds and turning them into instruments, and I think that's marvelous. So thank you for suggesting this one. This is a very, very cool
Yeah,
song.
absolutely. Thank you.
Which brings us to our last song of the night, or at least the last song that we're going to be talking about this evening. And this is one that I was pretty excited to share. This is a pretty long track, so buckle up. Uh, this comes to us from a game that I tried a few minutes of the demo for, and I didn't get very far. Not for lack of enjoyment, just for lack of focus on my part, because other things happen. This is a game called Emio the Smiling Man for the Switch. This is it's part of the Famicom Detective Club series, which is a very strange thing that it's been renewed and revived on the Switch. But they're visual novels basically, and this one is about a serial killer named Emio who
Mm.
puts bags over people's heads with creepy smiley faces drawn on them after he kills them. It got off to a pretty okay start, but I'm told that this game is phenomenal the further you get into it, and it's extremely dark. It's one of the very few, if not the first, internally developed Nintendo titles to get an M rating, and yeah, it's creepy stuff. And this song is pretty cool. I have not listened to it all from top to bottom. I just knew that I wanted to pick something from this game, and I started like poking around the soundtrack, and I kind of quick poked through this song and said, I think this is the one. This is what I want to listen to. So this song is called The Smiling Man, from the game Emio the Smiling Man. It's a little long, like I said, but I think it'll be worth the trip. The music from this game was done by Takeshi Abo, and I think it's marvelous. So here you go. Here is The Smiling Man from Emio the Smiling Man. Enjoy. you go. That was The Smiling Man from MEO, The Smiling Man. How'd that one grab you?
All right. I said that there's I said a handful of times in this particular episode, I love this song. I love this song. This is a great song, soft spot in my heart, this song, whatever. This song is the song of the episode for me.
That's why I saved it for last.
This
Yes. I knew you'd like this one.
This feels very true crime documentary on Netflix. This is very much the music I would like to be listening to while I read a horror novel. Which is ironic because the game is pretty much just that. I am familiar with that series. I've seen those before in passing, and I've always thought, damn it, even I made myself laugh before I got to say it. What a novel idea.
Yeah.
I would personally, I wouldn't play them myself, but I don't know. I might be swayed a little bit with this track. What a beautiful piece.
There is
Just
a free
wow.
demo for this game on the Switch. So that's a
Okay.
thing that you can do with no barrier of entry. I said I tried to start it, and it's just like
Mhm.
it was very interesting, but I didn't get far enough to really let it get its hooks in me yet.
Okay.
I do really want to play this game. I want to give this the time of day, and I'd like to play the originals too. Those remakes of the first two games are apparently very, very good, which I assume is what led to this game's existence in the first place. This surprise third entry, since there hadn't been a new game in this series since the freaking Famicom. But here we are, and yeah, I was relatively blown away by what I heard of this song, which is why I picked it, and
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited to kind of hear how all the pieces fit together, because like I said, I kind of skipped through it. So hearing all those little pieces come together, yeah, you're 100% right. It's very true crime. It's very eerie. It's very, very unsettling in all the best kinds of ways.
Yep.
Yeah, I just thought this was a fantastic track.
Absolutely. I appreciate you holding it till the end. Because everything would have been, pale in comparison.
Right. Everything's ever been downhill from there.
Absolutely, positively.
Yeah, I felt like this was the right one to end on. And
Yeah.
well, that's where we are. We are now at the end of our episode. Our 10th spooky special has come to a close.
Are you sure it's the 10th?
Oh, I'm sure. We counted.
I was there.
Yes, you were. I wonder if we'll do a winter special this year. I don't know. The spooky specials are really where our hearts lie. So
you guys tell us. Do you want another winter special?
yeah, I mean, if you do, let us know. I feel like those are harder to put together than the spooky ones, right?
I
It's
have
very-
to agree. Like, actually, my favorite was the Black Friday special with the shopkeepers music.
That was great. That was a whole lot of fun. We should do another one of those.
I think we should. Yeah, maybe not this year.
No, not this year, because actually our next episode has been picked already. Join us next time for a full listener request episode. Matt Flamger, who again has been listening to this show for a long time, has requested that we cover Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, and this will be landing just in time for the all-new Mario and Luigi game, Brothership, which is coming to the Switch this year. So it's going to be culturally relevant at the time, and apparently one heck of a good soundtrack, because, well, Matt hasn't steered us wrong so far, and the Mario and Luigi game, I think we covered Superstar Saga before. That was really great, too. So, yeah. Well, I got nothing. You got anything to add before we close this out?
I mean, have a safe and fun Halloween.
Yes, that is what I say to everyone. Have a happy and safe Halloween. I hope you have enjoyed your spooky season and our annual tradition of dropping a whole bunch of fun, scary music for you to listen to on Halloween. We here at the WaveBack podcast are incredibly grateful to everyone who listens, and we love communicating with you when we can. We have a couple of ways you can do that. There's the Geekade Discord channel, in which we have a WaveBack chat where we frequently discuss all manner of stuff related to video game music and whenever our next episodes are going to be. And of course, you can always still send us an email at mail@geekade.com. While you're at it, check out all our social media channels, which you should totally follow, like, and subscribe to if you haven't already. WaveBack and other Geekade podcasts are made possible thanks to the Geekade Patreon page. There, patrons can get access to a monthly podcast topic and recording schedule, get early access to most of Geekade's shows, including this one, and more. If you've enjoyed our podcasts over the years, follow the link in the description and give it a look. We really appreciate it. And finally, as always, be sure to check out all our other great content we have on our site, over at geekade.com. We're going to leave you tonight with an even longer song than what we just listened to. In fact, this song is hilariously long, which is why I saved it for the post, for the credits, basically, for the end of the episode. This comes to us from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is a marvelous game. And this is the final boss music, The Menace Unleashed. It's a long one. I think it's almost 12 minutes long. So,
Just shy.
Buckle in. It's just nothing wrong with having a bunch of extra music. Tears of the Kingdom was a great game. Its final boss battle was hilarious and terrifying at the same time. Spoiler alert, the game's been out for a while. Like, you get to Ganondorf, and it's like, all right, it's time to fight him. And his life bar gets hilariously big. Like, it just goes off the side of the screen. Like, it's just like, oh, it's like this now. Like, they knew it was a joke. They're like, oh, you think you fought hard bosses before? Here you go. It's just gonna keep expanding until it literally goes off the side of the screen. Like, wow, you really did that. Okay, and then it was really cool. great ending to a great game. Anyway, the soundtrack to that game is credited to Hajime Wakai, Manaka Kateoka, Masa Miyoshi, Masato Ohashi, and Tsukasa Usui. I think I did okay.
I think I was going to give you like a virtual high five.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about that one. Anyway, Please enjoy the Tears of the Kingdom. Please enjoy a happy and safe Halloween, and we will see you next month for Mario and Luigi. Good night.
you